Yo, guys, what's going on? Coach Jamie here with Relentless Glory. Thank you for your understanding as I am sitting here in my car. But please do not even fret about that because we're going to have so much focus that is going to be going towards our guest today, who is giving us his testimony. So I'm just waiting for him to pop on here in a moment so I can have him join us. But yes, in the meantime and in between time, while I wait on him, actually, let me see if I can invite him here real quick. There we go, waving at him. Let's invite him in. 1 second. Invite, let's go. All right, hopefully it's inviting him. Guys, I'm so stoked for this. You have no idea. This individual has been an absolute blessing to Coach Liv and I. And so the fact that he is going to be joining on this is about to be fantastic. Okay, all you have to do is accept the invite, Joel, and then you should pop on. Hopefully he sees me, hears me. Yo!
Hey, so I was attempting to get on this thing on my computer, but it wasn't working. So
Yeah. Instagram is Team Mobile, not Team Laptops, unfortunately. So, but I am so excited you're here. You have no idea. Like, I have been so stoked. I'm like, is it the weekend? Is it the weekend? So everybody listening, again, thank you for watching this. I have the most incredible human being that I have ever been connected with through social media as our guest today for Relentless Glory, who is going to drop his testimony. He is a ton of energy, tons of inspiration, such a man of God. Joel Simmons, I will give him a chance to kind of share a little bit about him, but most importantly, his walk with his faith and how God has transformed his life. So that being said, Joel, I'm going to give you the floor. Take us away.
no, you know what? I appreciate it, Jamie. And the thing about it is like you're so energetic and you're so moved and you're so moving and you bring like this fire. And so like that's like the same thing I enjoy. Like I like to when I walk in a room, I want to be the fire inside the room. And if there's somebody else with that type of fire, let's go. Let's do this together because it's just all about being alive. Like we serve a God of the living, not of the dead. And so
Mm,
powerful thing, right?
absolutely it is. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. That's why I think it's cool. Like, the male version of Jamie's energy is on this video right now, and I'm super stoked about it. So
Oh,
for real,
yeah.
I want you to lead the way on this. Tell us whatever part of your story that you feel God is pulling for you to share today. Just preach to us, sir. Preach.
Well, I don't know about preaching right now, but that's funny that you said that because when I was talking to my wife, I was like, listen, you got to meet Jamie because, just think about me and then as a lady right there. And it's like, this is Jamie. So it's funny that you said the male version of Jamie because I'm like, this is like the female version of Joel right here. Like, yeah, we're going to get this. I'm telling you, we're going to help you. We're going to help reset your mind. We're going to help you get pumped up. And we're also going to teach you how to make a difference in your life. And that's just like you all day long.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I
I
love
love it.
it.
All right, so lay it on us. What are some ways that what are maybe some what has your journey with faith been like? And like, has God always been a part of your life? Has there ever been a super life-changing moment that happened with your walk within your faith? Just how has God worked in your life, Joel?
I mean, really, I think that there's a few different things that I would definitely venture out to tell, but for me to get where I am today, I had to go through a lot of tough spots. When I was younger, I didn't have it all upstairs. I thought I did, and I was kind of like, you know, just floating around thing with some of the guys in the neighborhood, and you know, just leading a life that was non-productive.
Okay, in
You know,
what ways? I want you to dig. We want grimy, we want raw, we want vulnerability here.
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I had definitely had gotten into, you know, drugs and alcohol and women and power trips, ego, corner life, you know, late nights, early mornings. And when I say late nights to early mornings, I mean that's just a continual thing. You know, it was just the rough and raw type of world that you see in like maybe some of the gangster rap and stuff, the type of stuff that they
Mm.
project, you know, or projected during the boom and the fame of it, you know, and that was the type of lifestyle that I had a desire to live. And I think that that's like a crucial point because, you know, some of those people that I was emulating, they weren't necessarily doing it simply because they desired to. Not in my day coming up. I mean,
Right.
nowadays the whole gangster style is different. It's more about money and, you know, just playing and all this type of stuff. But when I was coming up, it was like, listen, we have to feed our family. And so this is the reason why we're on the street corner, you know, and so it was a whole different type of lifestyle. And my mother really did not, she afforded, she worked hard, you know, to make sure I did not have to go through that. So it was a lifestyle choice for me to hang around individuals that were going through that and for me to put myself into positions and predicaments that really led to some real tough and hard things, you know? So, I mean, I'll tell you this. I remember one time, right? So I I had linked up with these two dudes and they were like, hey, listen, we're gonna go to North Carolina. And it'll be funny if they actually had listened to this story. This was scary as I don't know what. So they're like, we're gonna go to North Carolina. And like I'm not even all that cool with these guys. You know, it's just like I'm like, whatever, man, you know, because that was the attitude that I had. Like, whatever. You know, you smoke one, just whatever. You know, we're gonna be drinking, we're gonna smoke, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna leave. And I was living in Virginia, and like my boys were like, "Don't go with these guys, man. I'm telling you that they're no good. Don't do it." And I'm like, "Whatever, man. You know what? I'm like bulletproof. You know who I am. You know this. I got this." And so we end up in this small trailer parkish type of town, but you know there's houses there, maybe like 40 houses. Everybody knows everybody, right? And dropped off and we're stuck. We're stuck. We ran out of smoke. We ran out of alcohol. I got no clue, you know, and as I'm starting to come to myself, I'm like, yo, we got to get out of here. And one of the dudes like, yeah, man, come on, let's do it. Let's do it. So he's like, yeah, go steal this truck. And I'm like, whatever, man, come on. You know who I am. I got this. You know, and so I go take the truck. There's a shotgun behind the driver's seat, and you know, and the truck is like some old school stick shift. You know, it's like this type of stick shift that if you're moving it just does not. It's not like legit. Like at that time, it probably was 20 years old. This guy probably jerry rigged his truck, never bought a new truck. He's some, you know, whatever. So I could not get this vehicle to stop. Couldn't get it. It was like the get it to stop. So you know, I literally had to pull it into a ditch just so that I could get out, so I can get everybody in. I'm like, this was a terrible idea. This was absolutely stupid, right? So I go back to my boys and they're like, oh man, you got it, you got it. I'm like, hey, it's not driving. You know what I mean? Like I can get it to go, but I can't stop it. And it's at the end of the block. He's like, oh man, hey, that's old man so-and-so's. He's going to be after you. Oh, I heard he's looking. I'm like, well, what do I do? I'm in the middle of nowhere. I know nobody but you. And he's like, come with me. And he takes me into someone's house, right? And I'm in the house, and all of a sudden I hear shuffling. So like, get underneath the bed. Like, we all know that this is what you do in the movies. This is a horrible idea. Everybody finds you underneath the bed. You know what I mean? You go in the closet, you go under the bed, everyone finds you. And all of a sudden I hear like footsteps talking. He's not here. He's not here. And then here comes somebody. I see footsteps at the end of the bed, and pulls me out from underneath the bed, right? And when he pulls me out from underneath the bed, you know, I'm just like shuffled out of the house. I hope you guys can still hear me, because it looks like we're losing some signal. So I'm like shuffled outside of the house, and next thing you know, you still can you still hear me, Jamie?
Yes, you're good. Keep going.
All right. So I'm shuffled out of the house, and there's like a crowd of people, you know, 20 people. Everybody knows everybody. I know nobody. And my boy's like, yo, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I want to find us a ride. I'm going to get us a ride. I'm going to get us out of here. And I'm like, what do you mean, don't worry about it? This guy has got a pump shotgun in his hand. He's like 30 years older than me, you know, old school country strong, you know, black dude who's just like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. And for whatever reason, I decide at this very moment that I should be responsible of this old dude. I don't know what hit me. I guess it's just looking at this old man and then realizing that I stole his vehicle. I don't want to punch him, you know? And so I'm in the middle of the circle, and he comes back and got a shotgun, you know, but he won't point it at me. And so he like puts the shotgun over here, and he throws one jab, and I duck it. He throws another one. I feel it go across the side of my neck, but he can't make contact. You know, I'm just kind of like moving back and forth, and he can't touch me. And so after that, he's like, he goes to get his shotgun, and I'm like, listen, old dude, I don't want to have nothing to do with this. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. You know, I shouldn't have done that. Bygones, bygones. Your vehicle's right there. No, you're gonna wreck it with me. I'm like, so I start to just like leave. But where am I going? I'm in the middle of nowhere. We got there while we were high. I have no clue except go north on this road. So I ended up walking away, and this guy gets his shotgun. He's like, hey, you won't stop. I'm like, oh, dog. So I start running, and he starts running after me. And it's like, legit, Jamie, it's like a Jason movie. Every single time I look back, what's up, Liv? Every single time I look back, this guy is like right there. I'm getting further and further away from him because, you know, I'm dogging. I'm like, you know, I'm fast. You know, I'm young. This guy's like, he's old. You know, he's old.
But he's somehow always there.
Always there with a shotgun in his hand, and he's chasing every time. And I run right into the woods. Now, I'm full speed, and all of a sudden, like, dogging with his shotgun. I'm like, he'll never find me in the woods. He comes right into the woods. You know, I'm like ducking behind bushes and trees. He just keeps on running. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, he can't see me. And then boom, he just grabs me. It's like, oh man. And he drags me out of the woods. And when he drags me out of the woods, up on the top of the road, where the road meets, I see those guys like, yo, come on, jump on in. And this guy's like got me like this, you know, old man country strong with a shotgun in his hand. I'm like, and I'm wasted. You know, I ran like half a mile, full speed, full sprint, and I'm wasted, you know? And they leave. And this dude, thank God, the police show up and they take me to jail. I arrive in jail. My mom won't come pick me up. She's like, let them stay there. And everybody in jail is like, ooh, we got some fresh meat inside there. But I can't see anyone. I know nobody. I don't know any prison guards. I don't know anything about how they talk, mannerisms. I know nothing. So I'm thinking that in the morning when I get out of here, I'm going to have to fight all day long. I'm going to have to hit somebody. I'm going to have to do something. Uh, you know, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm like this little boy in another world. It's like being locked up abroad. And I don't know what I'm going to have to do. And just thank God, you know, all of a sudden, my mom shows up out of nowhere and she posts bail and she takes me home, you know? And I'm just like, this is the lifestyle that I chose, huh? Didn't even change for like 3 more years. Never changed. Just brushes and brushes and brushes of near death experiences from that point on. And that was the lifestyle that I was living. That's who I was. And if I wasn't the guy that was going to jail, or if I wasn't the one, you know, then I was the guy who was putting somebody else in that same type of position. You know, so it only meant right that it would happen to me because, you know, the type of stuff that I was doing to other people was probably worse than that. You know? Yeah.
So, first of all, that's wild. Like, literally everything of you described, I'm like, if I didn't know you, Joel, I'd be like, you're totally messing with me because every single part of that literally sounds like some form of a movie. Like, that is wild. But two questions, I guess, that I kind of want to have for you is one, at that point in your life, what did your relationship with God look like? Like, were you involved with your faith at all? Was it something that was a part of your upbringing? Was it not something on your mind at all? Were you angry with God? Did you not care? Just didn't believe? Where were you at on all of that? And then what would you say is that moment when you finally decided to change from that lifestyle you were living?
That's a good question, right? So at that during that time in my life, I wasn't really thinking about God, you know. I mean, I entertained the thought, you know, I understood my mother had already taught me, you know, Jesus is the answer, you know, and so it was ingrained in me, but it wasn't being utilized. You know, I think that a lot of people are like that now. You know, I talk with young people now, and a lot of people are like, yeah, they know, they believe in Jesus, they believe in God, but they're not really believers, you know. So I was in the same category of no, it's like knowing who the president is, you know, but not believing that he could ever do something that will benefit you. You know what I mean? It's like knowing who your mom is, but never coming home because you just don't believe that she could ever help you. You know, it's just like, so you know that this is there. You know that it's there. Just like when kids get older and they understand college could help them or learning a trade can help them, but they just don't do it. They just won't utilize it. That's who I was. It's like
Know
Jesus.
of him, but doesn't have a relationship with him.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
love that. I love that.
And I think
So
that
then
that's
when would you say that started to change?
so it had to have been, you know, a few years later. You know, my mother, she tried to pull us out. And this is a huge dynamic, right? My mother was the one who was really pushing for a relationship with Christ. And like my stepdad at the time was not. So I think that that hinders young people to a certain degree because whoever you're leaning on, you know, if you're leaning on your dad or you're leaning on your mother, and you see that one is like polar opposite to the other when it comes to that relationship, it definitely makes the ground a little less walkable. So when it comes down to that, I think that as a parent, you know, if you're able to find that right fit before you commit, you should do it, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, a few years later, you know, I ran into trouble again, did some damage, hurt some people. And when I did that, I ended up in jail again. But this time I'm like 18, 19 years old. And they're like, you're not going to juvie, you know,
No more slaps on the wrist, right?
no more slaps on the wrist. It's big boy stuff. And I'm like, Jamie, I couldn't even think about what they were going to do with me or where they were going to take me, because in my pocket, I thought that I had so much illegal substance that I thought I was going to go to jail for like 8 years. And my only
Wow.
concern was ditching whatever was in my pocket. That was my only concern. I had no thought about going to jail or anything. And so it ended up being a struggle between me and the police officers trying to hold me, and I'm just trying to empty my pockets in front of them. Like, what kind of mind did I have? I was losing it, you know? And it turned out it wasn't even there. Wasn't there. So I was blessed, and I give God 100% credit for this, because it turns out that my bag of stuff was sitting on top of my TV stand inside of the house, and they arrested me outside of the house. They walked in and out of my house. They had to have seen it, but they never did anything at all with it. It was like it was ghosted. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got inside. I got inside the prison, right? And I'm in there, and they got me in this large holding cell. And this holding cell is like there, and there's a bunch of guys in there, and they have the real level of criminals, that have been convicted. Is like at the top of the roof. You can see about 2 feet, 2 feet into their atmosphere, and they're looking down at us, and they're like, talking trash. I'm like, whatever. So 2 guys came in there, and these guys, they were gay, and they looked up there at these guys, and those guys looked down, and the guys up top, they're like, "Ooh, baby, when I get to see you, I'm gonna do." And they started saying stuff like that, and I was like, "This is not where I'm supposed to be. This is absolutely ridiculous. What on earth? Why am I here? This is not it. This ain't it. This ain't me. This ain't this is not what I'm designed for. I ain't designed for. I'm gonna be fighting every single day of my life." And last time I've already had so many battles. No, I can't. So that night I called my moms up, just like most young black men do, or they call their dad up. Most kids do. Call it their mom, because mom is always softer than dad. But I ain't got a dad, so I don't really have a dad to call, so I call my mom up, and my mom doesn't answer the phone call all night long. I leave her a voicemail. "I know you're listening. I'm ready for my change. I know you're listening." So anyway, she never answers. And I go and lay at my bed, and I'm just like, "All right, Lord, you got me. Like, I'm done with this. I'm ready. This ain't me." So I start to make my promise. "You take me out of this, and I'll serve you, It is what it is. But this ain't me. I surrender." Right? And I got nobody to come get me. And all of a sudden, somebody posts my bill. And it turns out the same person that I have hurt is the same that posted my bill. Like, who would have ever had seen that coming? I get out, and they pick me up with all of everything that I got. I mean, Jamie, I got the bag of my stuff, artillery and stuff. They dropped me off at my mom's place, and I walk into her house, and she's surprised. And I hand her. Let me tell you something, Jamie. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you about how God works. Because before I get in there, I say, I'm going to one last one. One last one. I roll it up, light it up, and every time I hear it, it's like, you promised me, this voice. You promised me. Take another oak. You promised me. And every single time I get less and less and less high. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, like, who's talking to me? I'm all here by myself, you know, linked up against a building. And I'm like, is that God talking to me? Like, is that really what's happening right now? So I put it out, and I'm like, this is absolutely out. And I'll hand her over all of our stuff, and she takes me out to church, House of Prayer, saved my life. The United House of Prayer saved my life. And the pastor there and the elders there, they take me in, and they don't judge me for nothing. They don't make me do nothing. They just support me. My mom brings me, she takes me, she brings me, she takes me, and these men just fathers to me. And I'll never forget, I was in the house of prayer one day, and the pastor has my duffel bag, my artillery, and I watch him walk to a sheriff, and the sheriff comes up to him, and they're out there exchanging, they're talking, and he hands over the duffel bag. The sheriff opens it up, looks around inside of it, zips it, throws it inside of his trunk. They talk some more, and then the sheriff drives away. And I'm like, that was another opportunity for it all to be over with for me, you know, because I'm surrendering, and all this man has to do is he has to say, oh yeah, by the way, he's right inside. You know what I mean? And what, I don't know what that means. I go to jail, you know, violate probation, you know, not to mention what was in there. And I'm like, this is God working for me. This is the power of God moving for me. And I didn't deserve none of it, because I was, you know, I was just a mess. I was wrecked. I was an end. And I destroyed others' lives.
But God.
But God brought me through all of that. And he empowered me. He strengthened me, you know? Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. I feel this thing right now.
Good. Like, don't apologize. Like, this is what we want here, Liz. This is the raw stories that people need to hear, because you see Christianity of all of these people who love God and life is good and they have it all together. They don't know the struggle that people had to go through to get to where they are now. And also the way that the grace of God can totally step in and just show a totally different side to our lives than what we ever expected. And, you know, there was a powerful, I mean, so much powerful stuff, obviously, but one in particular was like when you said that final time when you called your mom and she didn't answer. Like, where my mind went was, I wonder how differently that could have panned out if the power of God wouldn't have blocked that call from going through. You, oh, you there?
Yeah, I still hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me answer that too, Jamie, because later I found out that not only did she had to contend with that. This is such a huge principle in me. There's three that I that I teach, that I coach to do. And one of them is you can't control others. I can't control you. The second one is I can't control me. And the third one is let go. And in order for me to become who I am today, she had to let go. I had to become a man. I had to, and like that's like even with the scripture, that's part of what we're doing, because in the book of Ephesians, the 6th chapter, it talks about how children obey your parents in the Lord. For this, the first commandment was promised. But the thing is that there comes a time when the children have to be passed off to God, So up until that day, then you, the parents, you are as the lords of your children. You are as their gods. What you are is the emblem of what they believe. Your belief shines through you. So if you are corrupt, then your corruption shines through you. But if you are above reproach, that also shines through you. And then they are developing those skills, those talents, those mannerisms, those morals, those values as they are growing. That is the development process. And at a certain point in time, all that has shined through you and the rest of the world that they have taken in, all of these things develop into a psyche, a conscience, and there comes a day where they have to make a choice on what they truly believe, and they got to stand on it. And not making a choice is a choice. Don't get me wrong. You don't just get a pass by not choosing. No, that ain't it. Because if you don't choose, you've chosen not to choose, and you will have to walk in those footsteps until you choose to choose something different. There is no other way.
Yeah. And then I think it's awesome that you took the point to also recognize that your mom, who was more in with her relationship of faith than what you were, had to have the godly wisdom to just finally let go. But then also, like, you finally hitting that point, because, like, and by no means when I say this, I don't want to make any part of this about my testimony, because this is all about you. But like, that's always been my thing, is I've always been like a control freak. And so to surrender and let go with something that I would fight to the death and exhaust myself, where I was finally so weak that I had no choice but to surrender. And that's just what keeps like eating at my brain, as you had mentioned, that like all of your options were exhausted. You couldn't leave where you were at. You were forced in that place with no one to call and nowhere to turn but to God. And it's like, okay, you kept making these decisions. I gave you an out to make the right choice and you didn't. So now I'm going to pin you down and you can't. So you had to go toe to toe with God. You lost. He didn't shine through with people to come save the day until you surrendered. But what I also love about your story is that it wasn't this magical day, this final surrender, that everything was perfect. You clearly have stated that you slipped back into old habits because we are still human. But because you made the decision to surrender, and even though maybe in a flawed manner, because we're humans and that's what we are, is full of flaws, God continued to work on you because you chose to work with him.
Very accurate. Very well
That's
put.
powerful.
Put.
That is, you just, like, I see, oh, like already, like you were my kind of person. I was like, seriously, we are family through Christ through the fullest. But man, now hearing this even more so, Joel, like, it is awesome. And that's why I'm so honored that you came on to just share this testimony, because like Coach Liv and I talk about this all the time. Like, we see God through you, right? That light, and you expel God through you. And that is why you are able to transform every life that you come across, because you lived it, you experienced it, you saw what life was like without God, and you experienced what life is like with God. Does that mean life is perfect and you don't struggle? No, but you know that it is not your battle to fight because your God's got it.
That's right. That's right. And that's part of that recipe of letting go. I mean, Jamie, yes, that's it. You know, and it's like the thing about letting go is like people don't understand when you if I got this bottle of water, you know, and I'm like, this is the last bottle of water, and you know, you come up to me and you're thirsty, you know, but I'm like, this is the last bottle of water, you know, and in my mind, it's like I'm just going to drink this last bottle of water and then I'm going to die, you know what I mean? But you're like, no, just let me have a little bit. What we don't realize is that when we give that bottle of water away, we open our hands up to receive something much greater. You have to give in order to receive. So
Yes.
you have to let go in order to get. And when we learn that letting go is much, much greater than just the animosities and the frustrations and everything else, but when we learn truly how to give like that, we can then begin to receive like that and think it changes the dynamics of our life, of our mentality, because God is always giving, but we can't receive because our hands are always shut, just like our minds are shut. So we can receive nothing. Lord God, give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this. But when it comes down to, we're holding all our frustrations, we're holding all of our anxieties, whatever makes us happy, we hold all of we covet the things that make us happy, the things that give us joy, we covet it all. We don't want to share these things, you know. I get $100, I'm so happy. I don't want to share that with nobody else because what if I don't get another $100? No, it's okay to share that. Because if you share it, you give opportunity to receive more. You cannot beat God given. You just can't. Forget about it. You know, as the scripture says, he owns the cattle upon 1,000 hills. What is it for him to give you a set of ribs to eat one day, or to milk you out something so that you can drink one day, or to give you a whole cow so that you can grow more cows, you know, or to give you the hill that the cows are sitting on? What is it for him to make these things happen for you? Because when we change our mindset and start to think, hey, listen, life is not just happening to me, it's actually happening for me, you know, then all of a sudden we began to realize that every single thing that we are going through, all of it is actually working for our good and not for demise, not for our destruction, not for our frustration, not for our anxiety, not for our anger, not for our depression, not because God just hates us, but because he loves us. He is catering to us. He is helping us. He is grooming us. And like you mentioned earlier, he gave me so many opportunities to kind of get it right. But at the end of the day, he pinned me down just like I'll do with my own little boy. It's like, hey, you want to keep on wrestling with me? Let me show you what I really got. Here's a tad bit of what I got. Put them down on the ground. Like, listen, you just can't wrestle with me. My experience, my strength, everything that I've got, my energy, my mindset is so much higher than yours. You have to raise all these things in order to pin me. Well, I can't pin God. Like, my arms are literally too short to box with God. So I can't pin him. So when he pins me down and I'm like, uncle, I had enough. Okay, what do you want? You know? And then all of a sudden, like, listen, about time you opened up your hands and said, I give, because I've been trying to bless you all this time, but you're such a knucklehead, you won't listen to nothing I got to say. Shut up and do what I say.
Okay, so two things. First of all, Joel, you told me you weren't going to preach, and you just preached. So I'm happy. I'm happy with that. Secondly, I love that you said that because it's funny. Like, forget how long or short your arms are. Who are we to think that God is even in the same boxing ring as us, right? Like, we can't put him into a. Oh my goodness. Well, I, I, you
I definitely appreciate uh, uh, signals really off, James. And while I'm waiting on the signal to come back, I just want to say, again, I'm really grateful for what you're doing in Relentless Glory, and you and Coach Liv. You all are awesome, and I enjoy what you're putting out there and how you're embodying the message that you're delivering and how you're sharing these different testimonies with people, because it's important. I agree with you. I mean, that's why I do the It Starts With Me podcast, because like people are looking out for these answers. And here's the important thing. People think that they see me now, but they don't know how I got here. And I'm sure it's the same way with you. And I've heard some of your story, and it's the same way with Liv. You know, people see these success stories and they think that, oh, it's as simple as just 1, 2, 3, or, if I do this for 20 days, then I'll be okay. And it's not that simple. There are a lot of hurdles. There are a lot of disappointments. There are a lot of failures happen in between the success, But the thing is that if you fail fast and fail forward, you have an opportunity of recovering and being the greatest version of yourself that you could ever possibly hope for. And here is the kicker. If you believe in God, you have a compass to your life, and he provides you with a roadmap. He gives you guidance all the time. And so you can meet up with someone like Coach Jamie or Coach Liv, or you can meet up with me for that matter. And being in tune with the Spirit, we can then help you to read that roadmap and to understand why your compass is pointing north or whether it's pointing east, because we are living that same type of lifestyle and have those experiences. And I think that that's very important, to be real like that. People are scouring over the internet looking for the 3 things that are going to make them successful, the 3 things that are going to cause their business to thrive, the 3 things that are going to make their relationship work, the 3. And it's like, yeah, 3, 3, 3. Listen, y'all, that's just something that is something that is utilized inside of a speech because we want to make sure somebody takes away something. So it's like, here's 3 things, because the human mind can absorb but so much of what is being spoken. So there's 3 points that we want to give you so that you can have it. But those 3 points are not the essence of full development. If you want to have full development, you need to invest inside of yourself, which means, meet up with Coach Jamie, meet up with Coach Liv, meet up with Relentless Glory, which means start praying, start fasting, start reading, which means start slowly. Less is more in this type of scenario. Accept yourself as who you are, Take the look in the mirror and start to say, hey, listen, I need to change some things. And honestly, this is how I got where I am, is when I recognized I need to change things, I sought out God. And because I sought out God, I'm now on this testimony, over almost 25 years later. I'm now on this testimony, this Tuesday testimony with Coach Jamie, because of something that I did nearly quarter century ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Joel, seriously, there is not enough hours in the day to be able to just talk life with you. It's incredible, and I love it. And this is still only the beginning. Guys, if you are seeking community, obviously that's what Relentless Glory is all about, but you better go follow the Tenacity Foundation with Joel Simmons. He's on Facebook, he's on YouTube, he's on Instagram. His content's incredible, and it's just super cool the way God is continuing to build his army. And so it is if you guys need people in your corner, I know social media gives tons of positivity and tons of negativity, but if you need people that can help support you, Relentless Glory's got you. Coach Liv and Coach Jamie's got you. Joel's got you. Tenacity Foundation's got you. We've got you. So, Joel, again, thank you for just the raw, uncut version that you just shared. Thank you for being a man of God and for your energy. You know that most importantly, I appreciate that. So, we're going to make sure we're going to we
Coach Jamie, I know that you're putting out that last piece of the message, and I just want to agree with you. People, get on Relentless Glory. These ladies, they're awesome, absolutely awesome, you know. And I love to see you in the Tenacity Foundation, 100%.
You're the best, Joel. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Bye.